What's up guys, and welcome to season number 15 of the Apex Online Racing F1 Championship. Here today for the Xbox Split 1 highlights with myself, Joe. Here today for round number 2 at the Chinese Grand Prix. And after the Flying Finn took victory last time out, can he continue his amazing form through to today's Grand Prix? Looking at the season 14 podium, you can see that he took victory here last season ahead of TRL Martin and Veloce Limitless. Limitless didn't compete in the last round in Australia, but he is back for today. We have a full 20-car grid for this race in China. If you didn't check out the last race in Australia, then you can go and do so now. But yeah, we've got a brilliant race in store for you today, and without further ado, let's get in now to qualifying. So the qualifying comparison for this Chinese Grand Prix is between NLR Evo in the Ferrari on the left and Drawmaster in the McLaren on the right. Both coming charging down into turn 1 in 8th gear, slowly shifting down to 4th and then 3rd in this snail section. Going now down into turns 2 and 3. Both taking that one in 2nd gear. Trying to minimise wheel spin on exit now as they come through turn 4 and towards turn 5. Now going under the Pirelli board, you can see there's probably about a 1/10 of a second in it at the moment in Evo's favour. And braking now into the first heavy braking zone at turn 6. Drawmaster interestingly keeping it in 2nd gear, whereas Evo going for 3rd. And now they go through this sweeping left-hander of 7. Both, in fact, in 7th gear before now, slowing it down into turn 8 before this double left-hander of 9 and 10. Again, very difficult to try and minimise understeer, and getting a good exit is also vital towards the end of this 2nd sector. You can see Evo still with the advantage, but again, not by too much, probably about a 1/10 of a second. Interestingly there, taking it both in 3rd gear before now, we're winding themselves up for one of the longest straights on the F1 calendar, exiting turn 13. They're both getting a good exit and going up into 8th gear. Interestingly enough, it looks as if Drawmaster may have closed a little bit at the moment. It's looking very tight between the two of them, and now they come to this chicane, sorry, the hairpin of turn 14. Evo flicking it down into 1st gear momentarily, which gives him great traction and a little bit of an advantage on Drawmaster, and that is the major difference between the two of them on the lap. Evo getting 3rd place, Drawmaster 10th, and that is the difference between 7 places on the grid in AOR Split 1. So taking a look at the full qualifying classification, it was the Flying Finn who took pole once again here in China, a 131.4 for him, and he was over 3/10 clear of the rest of the field, with surprisingly in 2nd place, lining up on the front row in the Toro Rosso. And Evo, who we saw in the qualifying comparison, will line up on the 2nd row of the grid alongside Cryo Lockdown. So he'll be lining up directly behind Surprise, and I think they'll both be quite surprised that they are so high up the order. CRL Hamilton qualified in 5th, and he'll share the 3rd row of the grid with VSR Simon in the 1st of the Renaults. STS F1 Alonso is quite a long way behind his teammate, 6/10 of a second in fact, and he'll be in 7th place, with P1R Brown in the 1st of the Force Indies in 8th. With Veloce Limitless lining up in 9th place in the Ferrari, quite a long way off the pace. And Drawmaster, again, another driver we saw in the qualifying comparison, lining up inside the top 10. Starting 11th will be TOR Leopard in the other Williams, with Kyle Mitchell in the 2nd Renault in 12th. Danny M7 is the first of the Red Bulls, but could only manage 13th, and EVR Morso was the last of the drivers within a second of the pole time, and will start in 14th place. OMG It's Joe is in 15th ahead of CRL Rosberg, with WR Pinecone and LGS, the 2 Haas drivers, lining up in 17th and 18th. Sam F1 LFC was the last of the drivers to set a time in qualifying, and EVR Reynolds will start from last after not managing to set a time. So it was time to now get underway for the 2nd round of Season 15 here in Xbox Split 1, and they are away. It's a good start from all of the front 3 by the looks of it, and they'll all be looking to keep it clean into turn 1. Finn easily holding his own into the 1st corner, with Surprise and NLR Evo running very close to each other. Evo will be looking to sneak down the inside into turn 3, and they are in fact running side by side at the moment, as VSR Simon and Alonso are going at it further back. But here Evo is going to have to try and stick it round the outside of turn 6 if he is to get ahead of the Toro Rosso driver, but no can do at this early stage of the race, and they pretty much all maintain position apart from Hamilton getting ahead of Simon. Taking a look at the replay of the start from Veloce Limitless's perspective, going now into turn 1. He started in P9, of course, a pretty poor qualifying by his standards, but as always, he's looking to charge through the field at the early stages and already getting ahead of P1R Brown. And now going on board with Drawmaster, you can see the good start that Limitless did get ahead of him, but Drawmaster coming under pressure early on from behind after a pretty poor start, and then getting bogged down behind P1R Brown, in fact making a little bit of contact, which compromises his exit out of the snail section and immediately loses 2 positions, and then in fact runs side by side with his teammate EVR Morso. You can just see the orange of his front wing on the left hand side before seeing the proximity arrow, and Morso does in fact manage to get ahead of him, but Drawmaster is clever and wise to the move before cutting back under him. Lovely move from him. Later on in lap 1, Limitless was on the move again, this time getting ahead of VSR Simon up into P7, and it's a pretty good start for the Veloce driver. Going now towards the end of lap 1 and towards the hairpin, which is probably going to be the best overtaking opportunity for drivers in this race. And it is Finn still in the lead by about 0.4 of a second ahead of Surprise. But it's a great start for the Toro Rosso man and the Welshman, who is looking to really impress in these early stages of the season. But Evo is there in third and will be looking to prowl later on in the race. On to lap 3 now, and it is very, very tight in the mid-pack. You can see there STS F1 Alonso chasing after CRL Hamilton, but Veloce Limitless is in the mirrors, and there a very optimistic dive down the inside from Alonso doesn't end well, and it looks as if Hamilton has just about held position, but that could have ended up so much worse for the two of them. Alonso maybe just a little bit too eager to get past a driver which he thinks he is quicker than at this moment in time, but Limitless now is going to try and take advantage of Alonso, who could have ended up making a position, but has ended up losing one in the end. And now Limitless trying to go down the inside of Hamilton at the start of lap 4, but no can do, and it looks as if he is going to sit behind in P6 for the meantime. Staying with this battle for P5, Hamilton is now under increasing pressure from Limitless, who tries to go down the inside, take the inside line now down this back straight so that he can get the nice line into the hairpin. And he is already ahead of Hamilton and up into P5 and maintains that there. Lap 5 now, and this battle in the mid-pack, pretty much from P5 downwards, is looking a bit mental at the moment. On board with TOR Leopard for the moment, that VSR Simon has gone wide there and rejoins the track, and then once again goes off the track and is completely taken out. P1R Brown, who will not be happy with that. And now as we go on board with Sam F1 LFC, you can see that VSR Simon rejoins in 15th with Brown just ahead of him in 14th. Neither of them will be happy with that. Staying now on lap 5, you can see Alonso trying to go for a move once again on Hamilton, but this time it's for P6 instead of P5, and they're still going side by side with each other. No can do though. And now further back you can see VSR Simon and Sam F1 once again going at it, but Simon locks up, and it's been a terrible lap 5 for the Renault driver. Loses yet another position, this time to Sam, and he's down into 16th position for the meantime. But we're going to rejoin that battle now for 6th place at the start of lap 6, and it looks as if Hamilton is just about hanging on in there. Alonso's going to try and go around the outside, but he gets stuck on the curb, and it looks as if CRL Hamilton has maintained P6 for the meantime, but we can't speak too soon as we now go down to turn 6, which is notorious for overtaking. Alonso tries to stick it round the outside, but it's a brilliant defensive display from Hamilton. Alonso going for all sorts of different lines, this time trying to go around the outside of this sweeping 2 turns in 7 and 8, but he's got to be careful to not be overtaken from behind as Danny M7 takes advantage of TOR Leopard there into P8. Staying on lap 6, and we go on board with the battle for 2nd place. Evo now getting a good run on Surprise into the hairpin at turn 14, and he does go down the inside of the Toro Rosso driver up into 2nd, and he'll fancy his chances now to try and get this victory if he can close after Finn. But going back to the battle for 6th now, and Danny goes for a big lunge down the inside, and he's gone into Hamilton. That hasn't helped either of them. Danny is all the way round, and Drawmaster now up into 8th place. Now at the end of lap 7, we are seeing the first pit stops of the race, with Drawmaster the furthest forward that has decided to come into the pits. P1R Brown and VSR Simon just seem to be following each other everywhere at the moment. They also pit. This has triggered the front runners into pitting on the next lap at the end of lap 8. Evo and Surprise both coming in, but Evo has overshot it into the pit lane and he has got a 5-second penalty as a result. He's not going to be happy with that, and that could well ruin his race. And although he has come out ahead of Surprise, he's going to have to make a 5-second buffer if he is to finish ahead of him. Flying Finn has now emerged from the pit lane as well, and we are on lap 10. So he is ahead of Evo by about 0.7 of a second, but Sam F1, who is yet to pit, is just holding Finn up for the moment. So he'll be hoping that the Sauber driver pits before too long. And as we come towards the end of lap 10, Finn still hasn't made his way past Sam, but he does make his way into the pits, and that releases the Mercedes driver into some fresh air. Evo is looking now for a move for the lead, and Finn's car has just ghosted out completely. He has now rejoined, but it looks as if Evo is going to get ahead of Finn, and indeed he does. So a little bit of a problem there with his capture card, I believe, for Finn, which means he's only in second place and can't get ahead of Evo for the meantime. But of course, Evo will have to bridge a 5-second gap if he is to finish ahead of the Mercedes driver. Going a bit further back in the pack now, we can see Sam F1 and OMG It's Joe fighting for 12th place. It's a lovely switchback move from Joe, and he manages to get ahead of the Sauber with Kyle Mitchell trying to follow him through. But what a move that was. Probably the overtake of the race so far. Heading towards the back straight now and through turn 13, and Sam is trying to keep on the tail of Joe. But it looks as if Kyle Mitchell has in fact got ahead of Sam for the meantime. And Kyle using all of the racetrack to try and push Sam out wide. But as they now go down to the hairpin, Sam trying to keep his composure and get ahead of the Renault man. Once again, there's a bit of bumping of wheels, but it looks as if Kyle has come out on top. Lap 16 now, and Drawmaster currently in 7th place, trying to defend from TOR Leopard, but he doesn't defend very much at all. Maybe thinking that he doesn't have the pace to finish in 7th place and is saving his tyres. Lap 17, and the battle for the lead is hotting up now, and as they go through turn 1, Finn is trying to look for a move on Evo. Of course, he doesn't have to make the move, because he does have that 5-second penalty, but they almost touch through the first 2 corners. Wow. It's been an impressive recovery from Veloce Limitless, who of course started down in P9, but Cyril Rosberg, yet to pit, I believe, yields P5 to him, and it looks as if that is where he's going to finish, should he not advance on lockdown. Lap 18, and it looks like the Flying Finn's best chance going down in the hairpin to overtake Evo. Is he going to be able to do so? He makes a move down the inside, or he makes a little bit of a lunge anyway. And they're going side by side now, but it looks as if Evo just about comes on top, and Finn has to stay behind once again. Drawmaster once again trying to defend down the back straight, this time from STS F1 Alonso. Alonso, though, does get past very easily, and that invites VSR Simon to go down the inside. He's up into 8th. Just over 6 laps left in the Grand Prix now, and Finn trying to look for this move on Evo. Even though he doesn't have to make the move, he'll want to do it on track, and it looks as if he tries to go down the inside there into turn 6. But once again, an impressive defensive display from Evo to keep the lead, and Surprise is also in on the action. Lap 25 now, and the battle for 15th place won't yield any points, but it will yield a little bit of bragging rights, I think it's fair to say, between the two of these drivers. And Reynolds now trying to look for a move on Sam F1, and almost an identical move to what we saw earlier in the race from Joe, and Reynolds up into 15th place. And we're going to take a look at a replay from Sam's perspective. He was pretty sure he had that inside covered, but no, he sees that Pink Force India appear down the inside. What a move that was. Staying on lap 25 now, and the battle for the final points paying position, and it looks as if OMG It's Joe is trying to go down the inside of Morso in the middle sector, and it's a lovely move from the Red Bull man, who's trying to, as I said, get that final points paying position, but there is a massive battle going on for it by the looks of it, and you can see there, we've got Morso, Danny, Rosberg, and also Cyril Hamilton not too far behind, looking for that 10th position, and it looks as if Morso's come under more pressure, this time from Danny M7, OMG It's Joe's teammate, and as they now go towards the hairpin, Joe I think has got a bit of a buffer, but the other three, it's anyone's game at the moment. Danny will try and make a move down the inside possibly, Rosberg thinking better of making a move, but no, he's also getting in on the act now. Danny up to 11th, and it looks as if Morso will just about hold P12 with Rosberg in 13th. On to the battle for 6th now, with just 3 laps left in the Grand Prix. TOR Leopard trying to go down the inside of STS F1 Alonso, and he does make the lunge indeed down the inside. They've had some great battles through the course of this race, but Leopard this time prevailing, unless Alonso can go down the inside. No, he thinks better of it. Leopard up to 6th. Later on in lap 26, and we see VSR Simon now going for a move on Alonso. He held back last time when Leopard went through, but now he's trying to pounce on the Mercedes driver, and Simon, it looks as if, has gone down the inside. They're going side by side through there. I'm sure that Alonso won't want to yield this position, but he tries to go side by side with Simon and does manage to keep position. Impressive driving from both of them there. After prevailing in that move, Alonso now wants 6th place on Leopard and goes down the inside at the end of lap 27, but it looks as if he has lost out to Leopard and maybe even Simon. Yes, he has. So he tries to go for one overtake, and in fact, he ends up losing a position at the end of it. Not great for him, but now he will be looking for a move on Simon into turn 1 on this, the final lap of the Grand Prix. Is he going to be able to do so? I think he is, as he'll go down the inside. Simon will have the outside, and yes, Alonso up into 7th. So the final lap and the battle for the lead is still on. The Flying Finn 4.5 tenths of a second behind, with Safrias a further 7 tenths behind. Is Finn going to be able to make a move? He has DRS available, but it looks as if it is broken for him at this stage, and that is why he just can't make a move or even get close to Evo. But that shouldn't matter, because he is still going to take victory as they come around the final corner. Of course, NLR Evo with that 5-second penalty means that will drop him to 3rd. The Flying Finn takes his 2nd victory of the season, with Safrias taking 3rd. Impressive from him. And coming home in P4, a great drive from Cryo Lockdown, almost anonymous in this race, just because he's driven so well, driven his own race, and it goes down to the final corner for the battle for P6. Alonso does prevail, but he also has a penalty, which will drop him down into 9th place. Unfortunate for him. Still, we've got a battle going on for the final points-paying position between the 2 Red Bull drivers. They've been going at it since we last joined this battle, and Danny is trying to go around the outside of his teammate into the turn 14 hairpin, and now they've got just one corner to go. They're basically side by side. Danny goes down the inside of Joe. He's got a bit of fuel to use and DRS. They're side by side. Danny nicks it on the line. What an end. So a fantastic race in China. Once again, a 3-way battle for the lead. Evo is on the top step of the podium in the podium animation, but of course we know that he will have that penalty that will drop him down to 3rd. But nonetheless, a fantastic race and a fantastic spectacle from all drivers, especially these 3 who put up a great battle for the lead. No crashes, no real collisions between the 3 of them, and that proves why they were the 3 best drivers around this circuit. Here is the final race classification then, and of course the Flying Finn taking the victory ahead of Safrias, with Evo in P3 despite his penalty. Cryo Lockdown taking P4 ahead of Veloce Limitless, which makes it all the more impressive that he managed to keep Limitless over a second behind him for the majority of the second half of the race. With their TOR Leopard in P6, of course, as a result of STS F1 Alonso's penalty. VSL Simon in 7th, with Drawmaster in 8th. Alonso, as I mentioned, in 9th, with Danny M7 managing to take the final points-paying position in the end ahead of Joe. Into the second half of the order then, Joe there in P11, just behind his teammate by a matter of tenths of a second, with Morso in P12, Cyril Rosberg in 13th, and he in fact also incurred a 3-second penalty. Sam F1 finished in 14th place, and did in fact manage to finish ahead of EVR Reynolds despite being overtaken by him near the end. Cyril Hamilton, a disappointing race for him. A number of factors meant that he could only manage 15th, with LGS, the leading Haas driver, in 16th. The 2 Force Indias in tandem in 17th and 18th, with WR Pinecone, the final of the finishes, in 19th. Cal Mitchell didn't finish the race and is in 20th position, rounding out the grid. And that is your final standings. Getting into the championship standings now, and of course it is the Flying Finn still on top with 50 points, 2 victories from 2. And just behind him is NLR Evo, who moves up into second place, and Surprise up into third. So a good couple of races for those two, but just not managing to quite get the victories. STS F1 Alonso falls to P4 after that disappointing 9th place for him, with TOR Leopard also falling, but only to 5th place. Pretty impressive from the F3 champion from last season. Cryo Lockdown gets his first points of the season, meaning he's up to 6th place, with Veloce Limitless doing the same as well, and just behind him in 7th. Danny M7 falls to 8th, Cyril Rosberg falls to 9th, and VSL Simon climbs into the top 10 with 6 points and sits in 10th. On to the Constructors' standings now, and it is Mercedes still leading the way on 70 points, one of only 2 teams to have actually held their position in the standings from last round. Ferrari climb to 2nd ahead of Toro Rosso, with Williams staying put in P4, and the rest of the grid is pretty much anyone's game. Well, to be honest, we are already 2 rounds into the season, so it's pretty much anyone's game anyway. But Sauber on 13 points in 5th place, and, well, pretty much everyone else is just separated by a matter of points. Red Bull in 6th, McLaren 7th, Renault 8th, Force India 9th, and Haas, the only team not to have scored any points yet, in a 10th. So I hope you guys enjoyed the highlights for the second round of this Apex Online Racing Season 15 Championship. Join me next round for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, tying in, of course, with the real life one. And yeah, until then, guys, do take care. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.